100,000 people. Those 100,000 people may be different in many ways, but there's one thing that brings them all together: the Green Bay Packers. In Titletown, the blue-collar city only knows hard work, tailgating, championships, but more importantly, they know family.
We have a saying in this town: faith, family, and the Green Bay Packers are all that you need. Sanjay and I grew up in Green Bay. You could say that we are Green Bay, or even better, the voices of Green Bay. We bring a local feel of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience.
Friendship, family, and football.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is the Freezer Podcast. Hey, what is up? We are back. This is another edition of the Freezer Podcast, where we bring you a local feel of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience. I'm Sanjay. Alongside me, like always, is Fred and Matt. And we are on the, verge of a new season. 1 week of training camp wrapped up, shorts and all. And now we've got the pads on starting this week. So hopefully we can see some more hitting. And obviously, now this is where we actually see the talent, rise to the top and see who kind of comes back to the, reality. So it is an interesting week. We'll obviously get you that stuff for next week. But last week we had, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of hype from the defense, a lot of a question mark on Jordan Love, but then had a very nice weekend of work. So it was nice to see him kind of bounce back. We had some interesting news around the NFL, speaking upon certain people's coaches. So and Rodgers stepping up. Obviously, there is the still the kind of the tail end of the contract restructure from Aaron Rodgers, because that's always fun. Yeah, guys, it's kind of interesting because right now we don't have a lot of information to go on other than what we're hearing from Twitter. As we already know, obviously there's not a lot of clips out there as far as what's, being shown in practice, unless you go to practice, which I did last week on Thursday. That was fun, but hot. But Fred, your thoughts at least on, overall what's kind of happening these, last few days. But Jordan Love, let's just kind of start with Jordan Love. I know that's obviously our biggest, watch right now as we get into preseason games and obviously the start of the season. But Fred, what is your expectation right now out of training camp?
I would have to say that the way I'm approaching it, right, the expectation here is to not get too excited personally. Right? It's so easy for all of us to watch these clips. I mean, we Matt, I know for sure we dogged on the Jets when they released that first video of Aaron Rodgers throwing a basic out pattern pass. We're like, wow, it's so cool. Like, and yeah, we're doing the same thing, right? Like, let's be realistic here, guys. Like, Jordan Love is throwing uncontested freebie balls on pretty basic routes with no defense really technically in his face. The mental thought of like, no one's actually going to hit me. It's very loose. So I try to temper my expectations. I'll take that from LaFleur there because I don't want to get too excited. That being said, because here I'm going to get a little excited.
There's always a but.
There's always a but. But I like the smoothness. I like the quickness. I like the footwork. I like the release. And I like the fact that he's taking some of these good shots, and the shots are looking, and shots I mean by deep passes, are looking in motion for the most part, right? We're not seeing a lot of guys shorten up. This is only from what I've seen. Not seeing a lot of guys have to make too many, shorten up situations, overthrowing guys, things like that. Again, what we see on Twitter is the best, right? No one's going to post anything unless you're a Bears fan sneaking into a practice. So I actually am going to practice on Thursday, so I'll get to see all the mistakes along with the greats. And so I'm interested in that, but for me, it's very much, don't get too caught up in like, whoa, he threw a 70-yard pass to Christian Watson. Like, okay, how did he do it? Was the footwork nice? Was the release nice? Did he stand firm in the pocket? Was it right there for Christian Watson? Did he have to speed up, slow down, rearrange his body to catch it? just really kind of simplistic things you have to kind of look at and say, to take McCarthy, the fundamentals of what he needs to do in each pass pattern there, because once things go into go mode, it's not going to matter, right? None of this is really going to we're not going to be able to look back and say, yeah, but he hit that pass on that one practice. It doesn't matter when you got, the Myles Garrett's and the Micah Parsons, pinning their ears back coming for you. And if your left tackle's hurt, and there's a lot of factors into it. So I'm trying to be really just, pretty tempered about it, but it's hard to not see some of that stuff and kind of be like, yo, this guy's pretty decent.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think that it's tempering your expectations, but also allowing yourself to maybe peek out of your side of your eye and enjoy some of those clips. Because I think for a lot of people, it was more like maybe like an exhale, like, okay, he can throw some of these dimes. He can drop that right in the breadbasket, because you see all the other teams putting up their hype videos or people posting, themselves at practices and seeing their QBs do it. So, he had a couple today where, he threw deep balls with a DB in the back pocket and is just right in stride. Guy never had to break stride and took it. He had another one rolling right. He threw that, I think it was to Jaden Reed towards the sideline. It ended up being incomplete. He couldn't make the play, but it was a really good ball, and it was kind of an acrobatic type play. So I'm with you guys, though. I think until we see it in the game, that's what I'm going to hold myself for. But I mean, you have to acknowledge that he's had a nice couple of days here, good open to training camp. The general consensus seems to be that he's taking some of these steps that they were, really hoping him to take, the last couple of years while he's getting prepared for this. And now it's just all about, as the coaches and Goody say, it's the next part of his development is doing it in the game. Practice is practice, obviously valuable, but you gotta be able to do it when it matters most, and that's where the money's going to be made. So until it happens, then you got to hold it back a little bit, but nonetheless encouraged by what I'm seeing.
I do like that he has a lot of command right now. I think he understands that this team is, as young as it is, he's got to be basically one of the top 5 leaders. It's definitely top 2 or 3 in the offense outside of like Bach and Elton and things. But he's got to be the voice, and I think you see that comfort with him now, because the guys are all around his age anyway, and they understand that they have a lot of the same interests. They have the same kind of personalities for the most part, and I think there's a calmness to that, because at least when you have a new quarterback, it's like how they have so much in their head. They're like, okay, I need to learn more of the system. I need to take these reps really seriously, and I gotta be the leader of a franchise, and be the billboard of Bergstrom now. Like all this stuff kind of gets put everywhere on your plate. Quick. Yeah, they did, right?
Bro, that was like up and down. Like
I know.
Boom.
There's a lot that comes at you. What? Go ahead.
Here's the thing to your point, though, and I just want to quick mention this, because I thought about this weekend or a couple days ago when I was watching the training camp on like NFL Network. It's funny because you said new quarterback, and I get it. He's a new quarterback in playing for us,
right?
But yeah, like everybody kind of acts and treats him like, outside of the Green Bay media, of course, that like we're bringing in a rookie. Like this guy's 4 years, same system, same coaching staff, a lot of the same players. Like he is as dialed in as you're gonna get for a guy starting at quarterback. I mean, most quarterbacks don't have the luxury of having 4 years to learn a system, really deep dive into it. So he should be in command. And I think you're right. I think he has a great command. But that is an absolute expectation from me, because let's be realistic. Like he might not be the oldest on the team, but he's one of the more tenured players on the team. So he has to be that guy. And I think that's something that we tend to forget. And I mean, I might even be guilty of it sometimes too, but I mean, 4 years, same coach, same coaching staff. You can't name more than probably 3 Browns quarterbacks in the history of the Browns that have ever had that luxury. I mean, so like Bears as well, probably. So it's something that I think we got to really pay attention to, because go.
Well, I was saying, that they're listening to this noise on the outside. They're hearing, the analysis say, well, they're not going to be anything. They're going to be a 6-win team. They're going to be bumbling all over the field and trying to. But like you said, Fred, he's not a rookie. He's not coming off the street. He's not just a half an offseason to learning the offense. He's probably teaching the rookies the offense, because he has a doctorate in at this point. Like he knows what he's doing.
Hopefully.
And I don't know about you guys, but watching videos of their interviews and things, they seem to have this confidence, just this kind of quiet, cool confidence about them. Like, they know what they're doing. They see it every day, and they don't care what anybody else on the outside is saying. And I think they're going to be really, really chomping at the bit to show the world come Bears game.
I agree.
I would love to know what exactly is the expectation of the outside media. I think even honestly, maybe even some of the inside media, because are we expecting, like, was everybody trying to make these comments about Jordan Love because they thought he's not going to be Aaron Rodgers? Because at one point I didn't think, okay, obviously he's not going to be Aaron Rodgers. That's an obvious thing. But at the same time too, did we not all see the same Aaron Rodgers for the last 2 years not get it done? So what Rodgers are we looking at? Are we looking at 2014 Rodgers, the one that won that MVP that was on fire? Or are we going with the one that won a COVID MVP, or the other one where he just had a lot of great stats and there really wasn't, another quarterback that wasn't even close to him, right? With his, QB or TD interception ratio. But I'm kind of just wondering about that, because I really don't know what the expectation is on the outside world for him. Because is it 7 wins? Is it 9 wins? Is it, they have to make the playoffs in a weak NFC? Is it they need to win the division?
The Packers definitely underachieved last year, but I feel like the consensus is people think that this team was gutted, like they lost half their starters. There's nobody left. It's a wasteland of has-beens and tryhards. But there's a lot of good players on this roster, and I've heard dozens of people say that Jordan Love's a top 18, 16 QB, top half the league. This team could win 10 games just by
we still have an all-pro like on each level of the field, except for maybe safety. I think we have an all-pro.
Right. I mean, we have a top 5 corner, if not top 3. I mean, I would say top 3, but I'm going to just be conservative.
Maybe best left
top
side
1
in the offensive line.
Maybe all time.
Jalen's out now.
We have a top 5 defensive tackle in Kenny Clark. I know that. I think he showed a little bit more progress last year. I would expect to see more again. We have a top 5 left tackle. We have a top 5 running back. Like, it's not like, wow, we have no pieces. And
it's not a wasteland. Yeah,
I don't get it, but I feel like, and I'll go back to, I think what I said a couple of weeks ago was like, if I'm the players on this team and I'm getting kind of the dog attitude that everyone's like giving me because Aaron Rodgers is gone, it's got to be like, listen, we didn't win games because of Aaron Rodgers the last 2 years.
We're more than him.
We maybe won games in the past, like in 2014, 15, like you're talking about, because of like some specialties that he made. But like, even still, there's 11 guys on that field of 53 in total, every game, every down, every quarter, every year. Like, it's not, Aaron Rodgers is not lining up by himself. So if I'm the rest of that team that's played those last couple of years with him, I'm taking this as an opportunity to say, yeah, he's great. He's 100% great, but we're pretty damn good too.
Yeah.
And we're going to play just as hard, and we're going to play just as tough, and we're going to show the rest of the world what it is. And I would say the expectation of the outside media is probably more so that we are just going to be a dumpster fire, a 3-win team. And I honestly,
I think it's because of the unknown, right?
Absolutely. But
I think so, yeah.
They don't really have an answer, so they're like, oh, they have to be bad then.
They have to be terrible, right? And I think, but that comes back to what I said before. Like, we're not plugging in, a Ritter or a Kenny Pickett or somebody like that. Like, we're talking about a guy, and again, we could be completely wrong about this, but a guy who's been in our system for 4 years under the same coaches and the same coaching staff, and not one time have they entertained necessarily that trade option because they thought he wasn't good enough. They entertained it maybe because of the thought of it might keep Rodgers around, but I don't think that ever was the case. They've always kept him. If he was not good, if they didn't see any talent or ability in him, there's no way we would have kept him for 4 years and then then risked our entire world or our entire league or our entire season, on the guy that we just weren't convinced on. We would have gone out and gotten a Teddy Bridgewater, or we would have gone out and got somebody clearly with the intention of, this guy might make it like 3 or 4 games. We're not sure yet. We're going to probably have to bring the vet in. That's not happened still. We're still running with a bunch of like no names behind him. So clearly there's something there. Clearly the coaching staff and the rest of the organization knows that he has got talent and that he is talented enough to take this team with a great running back, great offensive line, great defense, which I think they will be a great defense this year.
Well, is that because they drafted him with Rodgers there, and it's because they decided to move on from him, or do they actually see some? Because you've put your entire
but why would they have traded him then?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say is they've put their entire basically their job security on this. In 2019 when they drafted him, right? Like they said right at that moment, this guy has to work. I don't know what is going to be the time frame as far as when he's going to start. Obviously, the 2 MVPs didn't help, but I'm pretty sure he
not at all.
probably would have came in 2021, maybe 2021, maybe
2021, yeah.
I'll give him 2020
I think
MVP. But let's just say Rodgers gets traded last year and he steps in right away. Now you had 2 more years to look at him before you made this little, extended new contract for him. But I do agree with you, Fred. I do think they think that there's something there, but I also do think there is a aspect of this is it. This is all you got. And we're not going to bring anybody else in because we have to. We're all 1000% in on you because we have to.
And Goody and MLF they're planting their flag on him. I mean, this is their guy.
Goody too.
This is guy, who they went out and they traded a 4-time MVP face of the franchise to put their guy in there. And you'd like to think it's because they know he can play and they're ready for him to show. I
want to ask you something real quick.
But
don't you think there's any fear of that? Any fear of that at all that they would have brought in some vet by now?
I thought so, or they would have not, or they wouldn't have moved Rodgers because they just would have said, well, he's our best shot to win.
They had to move Rodgers because it was just tainted, right? The whole situation was
it's
tainted
over
to keep it going.
But you don't bring a Marcus Mariota, or you don't bring like a Minshew, you don't bring like Matt Ryan, some guys like that have been in your system.
Ryan Fitzpatrick or something. Well, who knows?
And when remember when Rodgers got the keys to the car, who did they draft that same year? Brian Brown. Like they were like trying to bring in a guy to push him immediately. So the fact that they did none of this and they're letting Danny Etling, who's the guy from Penn State, Clifford, it's
Clifford,
like
it's that I'm just saying I don't know if that's right or wrong. All I'm saying is that it definitely just feels like there's got to be like they got to have a pretty good confidence in this guy if they're not willing to bring in somebody to back him up.
So would you rather have the situation where you have a lot of unknown? He had a lot of he didn't get reps in his rookie year, right? COVID, barely. I mean, I don't think they really even there was no training camp.
Nope.
So second year, he's still behind Rodgers. Third year, still behind Rodgers. This is the fourth year. He gets his full reps. Obviously, last year he got more because Rodgers didn't show up right away.
Yep.
But Kenny Pickett had a full season now as the quarterback. Do you think there's more into the full season reps of understanding the game speed over the guy that may have had some, working with the ones here and there and really was on scout team and now he has it? I'm just asking because
it's a good question because it's almost the argument of book smart versus street smart, because Jordan Love's going to be book smart. He knows the offense, but he's not street smart because he hasn't played the game yet, really. So he's got to marry the two.
Same thing like with Mac Jones,
that's a really good call.
Because Mac Jones has also been thrown in the fire, and as dog crap as he kind of is, he's at least seen a lot more defenses than Jordan Love. And
but I think the
defense that Jordan Love's seen has been pretty vanilla.
Agreed. And I think the advantage for the Packers is, he's coming in. He's not having to work through the mental part of it. He already knows the offense in and out, all the routes, etc. Now he just has to go out and read a defense and play. So I think maybe that less noise in his head is going to help that out.
True. Yeah.
Imagine being a rookie. You lined up, you snap the ball, you have crazy defense. You're trying to figure out where the routes are.
You're trying to line everybody up.
What was this? What was that?
Yeah.
I mean, I do think I think it's a fantastic question, but I do think I would probably side more with having, and a great way to put that, the book smarts first.
I would too.
before I throw them into the Wolves, because it's once you throw them into the Wolves, I don't think you can get that back. I mean, if they get tormented or they get destroyed, and I mean we've seen it so much with the Bears and the Texans and the Browns and the Dolphins in the last 20, 30 years of our lives where we've seen guys, I mean, fantastic college quarterbacks who showed every attribute. And unfortunately, they got the kind of dog crapped on them. But I mean, they'd come into the league where they'd have 4 years, 4 different offense coordinators, 4 different coaches. They never got the opportunity to like learn a system. They got thrown right into it. So they had guys coming at them. They never had the time to figure that out. And so I'll always side with that fact of like, no, let the guy figure out the game from the book before you go throw him in.
Yeah, and that's one thing we all go ahead.
Go ahead. I was
just gonna say that was one thing I said I'd admire from Rodgers, that he was so book smart, and he probably was the smartest guy in the whole locker room. And he probably learned the entire playbook back in and back out, that he was able to transition. Yeah, he had a rough first year, and obviously there was, the growing pains just like anybody, but he knew exactly that offense, like in and out. And I think that's what we hope.
I don't think he did it. I don't think he did his first year, and I think he admitted that.
Right. Yeah.
And but that goes to our point. Like, if you would have thrown Rodgers in, say Favre had gotten hurt that first year, I don't know if the story is what we're having right now. I don't think the story ends up being 4-time MVP.
Yeah,
I mean, he was still working on his mechanics.
Absolutely.
And
I mean, I can remember hearing all of the people when Jordan Love was drafted about super raw talent, but a lot of talent, and it's just there, but you got to really work on it. So to give him these couple years to really learn the system while also working on mechanics in the background, and it sounds like he is a student of the game and really wants to do that. I think it's kind of the perfect storm. I don't know if it's obviously going to end up like 4-time MVP and an Aaron Rodgers, but I sure as hell don't think it's going to end up as a 4-win season. So I think he's got a lot of potential to do the good and do just enough to keep drives alive and to keep this game alive with a pretty good offense and defense around him.
All right, just to put a bow on the Love thing, if it's a big if, of course, if Love comes out and plays well and he establishes himself as the next franchise QB here, I mean, I think every team in the NFL has to look inward on how they develop the QB position, because clearly throwing some rookies in, man, you know, it's a more failures than there are successes. But if you have a guy sit there and mellow and learn, and then he can come out in the field with that noise suppressed in his head, I don't know, man. I think the teams are going to send consultants here and go, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, I agree. And remember at the peak of Rodgers, like everybody was talking about that. All these GMs were like, no, we're going to try to approach it like that. None of them did, right? The pressure is obviously very tough. The only other person that I can think of that sat is a young dude by the name of Patty Mahomes, and he's done pretty darn well.
And he had Alex Smith, you know, like
and he had a year. I mean, it was only a year. It wasn't as long as, you know, Aaron Rodgers and.
But even that 1 year makes a huge difference of learning.
Massive. But you think it's even like about how they? But is it even the quarterback? Because we've been saying it over and over again. It is the system. It's the organization that you go to, because you're right, Fred. All those other teams you mentioned that have been cycling through quarterbacks, they cycle through GMs, they cycle through coaches.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like if you're the owner, or in our case, obviously, like, you know, the whatever you are, Mark Murphy, the CEO, like, you have to understand that, hey, whatever we have in place, you know, that's what we got to keep for the next 4 years for this guy, or whatever it is, because it cannot be the 49ers, it can't be the Browns, or the, you know, the Bengals, or whatever it is, where they're just going to keep cycling through. Now, obviously, a lot of those teams have a better system now, but you're seeing that. And I think that's probably what people want. You know, how do we get the one GM in place? And then how does he get his, you know, his coach in place to find, you know, that quarterback guru, if you want that or not? Because I feel like if you look at all the quarterback or teams that have a quarterback right now, outside of maybe Josh Allen, who doesn't have an offensive minded coach?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. I think it's all about confidence. It's a confidence. Right. It's a confidence thing. If you're confident and you feel prepared, you're going to go out and execute, and you're going to lead by example, and other people are going to see that, and they're going to step their game up too. If you go on the huddle with shaky knees, you're not really sure who's running what. I think it's a sloppy mess, and I don't think the Packers are going to have to deal with that part of it, which is a huge advantage.
Yep.
Well, let's hope that it does succeed, because, I mean, if you can only imagine another 16 years of another quarterback of it,
I can imagine it.
I can too. Yeah. Let's move on to the offensive line. I think this is something we haven't really talked about a lot, because we've been so, you know, interested in the tight ends and the receivers, obviously, in Jordan Love. But the offensive line has gotten, I hope, healthier, because we've seen now this is hopefully the season that we get David Bakhtiari back 100%. I mean, maybe he's never going to be 100%, but at least enough where he can play in all games, or at least the majority of them. And then you get that strong left side with him and Elton on the left, and you have that absolutely secured on the left side. But there's still a lot of question at center. I think we all were kind of, you know, curious and kind of interested in a really big center like Josh Myers at 6'2", I think he is, or whatever he's at. No, he's bigger than 6'2". He's like 6'4", right? 6'5".
Yeah, he's a big dude. Yeah.
So there's been some question though with him. And then obviously that right side is still up for grabs. You know, as far as right tackle is concerned, I think John Runyon Jr. has it secure at right guard. I don't know. Yeah. You know, there is some concern with his run blocking ability, but he is pretty great in pass blocking. So, and then Zach Tom really has been kind of the first guy that they've thrown into the fire this season, and this training camp, as the guy right now at right tackle. And Yash has been kind of put in the back for a second. So we'll see what happens there. But your guys' thought, at least center to right side. I mean, if you want to talk about David, that's fine too, because that's obviously a big question. What David are we going to get? Are we going to get 16 games or 17 games? Or are we going to get like 10 or 5 or whatever it's going to be? And are we going to be on a load management with David Bakhtiari? Maybe that's why Yash isn't playing a lot. Maybe he's like this guy that kind of fills in for him if we're winning by like 3 touchdowns and he comes in, like midway through the third or something like that. I don't know. I mean, if we're even in that kind of luxury, but what are your thoughts at least on this offensive line?
Well, I think they're going to be a major strength of this team. I know there's some questions on the right side, but I have a lot of confidence in Zach Tom. I mean, this guy came in and has pretty much handled whatever they've thrown at him in game scenarios, not just practice. And they keep trying to kill off John Runyon Jr., man, and they can't. He keeps coming back and he wants his action, and he's not going to give that spot up. So I really do think that this group, though, is going to be one of the reasons that they either have success or failures this year. If that group stays healthy, man, and they're playing well and they have that continuity, I really do think that they're going to be the reasons why this offense is going to work. They're going to keep Jordan Love upright. And I just think they're going to be running. They're going to look at the 49ers. I think they're going to be running all sorts of crazy runs and pitches and misdirection, this and that. And those guys being on the same page and having all the experience they do have is going to be a major plus for us. So I'm excited about the group, and I'm still optimistic on that right side. I think that I know they have some stuff to prove, but I have no reason to think that come midseason that it's not a strength too, if it isn't already.
I mean, I'm a little
offensive lineman.
I was gonna say I'm a little upset that I didn't get to go.
Sorry, I didn't. I just got.
I was like, I gotta jump in.
Like fucking Matt.
He didn't give it to Fred. So I was like, you know what? I got an in here.
Sorry, yeah. From now on, anything offensive line.
No, I appreciate the fact that you had the opportunity, you took it. That's important. I think there's a lot of that on this offensive line.
I'm just glad Matt knew that we had offensive linemen.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I think on that right side of that line, I think it's pretty. I would say it's close to being solid or solidified. But I do think there's opportunity for a couple guys to kind of make their moves in there. I think ultimately, a couple things that you touched on. I think one, obviously health, right? I mean, it's not rocket science, but I think, man, if they can stay healthy and really gel this year, we didn't get to see that last year with Myers going out, Bakhtiari on, issue here and there, and Jenkins getting moved around. It's just, I feel like that's been like maybe 2 years now where we've had a lot of kind of maneuvering around in that offensive line.
Yeah.
And I think it was, what was it, 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, where we had no injuries on the offensive line. And I think they played all 16 together. And that was the year that we should have gone to the Super Bowl. So that one, I mean, I think that's a huge thing. I think with the Bakhtiari thing, I'll touch on that. And I think that it's going to go two ways, right? If it's a slow start, you might see Big Bach hanging up and, all of a sudden he's got a hammy issue or he's got something like that. I think if it's a decent start, and I'm not saying like we start off 0-2, that's not big enough to be like whatever. But I think if we can get a little bit of groove going, and I think the team being so young and fun, I could see him jumping on that wagon and just being hyped up with the guys and really enjoying it. And not feeling like, oh, it sucks, my best friend's gone.
But why is he not hyped right now, man? The guy's getting paid. Like
I'm not saying he's not hyped. I'm not saying he's not hyped. I'm saying if it's like going, right, the trains are moving and everyone's running and we're putting up 28, 30 points a game. And, I think he could really buy in a lot more than maybe where he's at. Cause let's be honest.
This is the guy that put us on blast earlier.
Yeah. It's probably a guy that's like 70-30 right now, right? He's here. He's paid. He'll play, he'll honor his contract, but like, is it really
to that point? He sounds different though. When he talks now, Absolutely. He sounds more like, oh, I'm in it.
Absolutely.
Before I was like, what are you doing?
I thought he was going to be a week 8 request trade kind of guy. Like, hey, can you give me to the Jets?
That's my thing. Like, I do think if the season starts a little slower, I think we could see him kind of start to fizzle out a little bit. But that being said, on that right side, I love Zach Tom. I think what he put on like 20, maybe 25 pounds since last year. So he's bulked up a little bit, which I think is huge. I think that's a pretty telling sign that he's going to hit that right side of the line and kind of protect. And then, I love John Runyon, right? I mean, I remember getting John Runyon cards as a kid from the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a dude. Yeah. Like, I mean, and we got his kid. So I see just offensive lineman in him 100%. So I don't know if he wins the job, but I sure as heck am rooting for it. I do think he's probably I think he's front runner right now on that situation. But the thing that I'm most excited about the offensive line is that depth, right? Like when you're talking about a guy who's got plenty of snaps in Josh Nijman, lots of snaps in Royce Newman. I know he had a lot of issues. But sometimes, year 3, year 4, things can kind of start to make a little bit more sense, kind of slow down a little bit. The pressure of being the starters off, maybe he can kind of mature that through camp. And then I really liked, who am I thinking of? Sean Ryan. who we drafted. I know I think he's another polished type guy. You got to get him through a couple camps, give him a few snaps throughout the season. He could be someone in a classic, yeah, right now, in a classic Packer form. He's like that guy that just all of a sudden pops up out of nowhere 3 years later.
I hope
and
so.
You're like, dude, I remember when we drafted him. Like he was so, like, and we've had that with a few offensive linemen.
Yeah, like TJ Lang and
yeah, like guys that like were there and we knew about them, and it just seemed like their spot wasn't now, right? Like Sean Ryan's spot is not now, and it's not needed to be right now because he'll be around like that Jenkins, or I'm sorry, not the Jenkins, and maybe that right guard situation. So I think he's inside. So I think he's not really necessarily needed right now. So I think he can really work up to it. But yeah, I think ultimately, like, that's cool. Jake Hansen, I liked when we drafted him. I don't think he's really a contender, but he's just another guy, right? That can, and not in the Jag form, but in the sense of he's available. He's a body. I think he can come in.
What's the Penn State guy's name? Why am I blanking on him?
What Penn State guy?
We drafted him, I think, with Sean Ryan. Someone will get it. Where's Iowa Joe when you need him?
He's an encyclopedia.
I don't remember.
Anyway,
hold on. I think I know him, but I don't know if he was he Penn State.
Well, if
Rasheed Walker.
Thank you, Rasheed Walker.
Yeah, I thought that's what. But
if there's one thing that the Packers are afforded, it is the benefit of the doubt on offensive linemen. Like they have drafted one after the other after the other.
Man, it's like a golden egg. Like you just touch it and it's an offensive lineman. Here, come here.
Yeah. Like Zach Tom, when you look at him, he shouldn't be as he shouldn't be as good as he
tiny.
is. He's really good.
Thank you, Jason. It does speak volume. Like the Packers always draft offensive linemen, and they didn't draft one this year. That's how much they have faith in this depth, and that's how much they have faith in the guys they have. Obviously, Sean Ryan needs to take a huge step personally and obviously, professionally, because he needs to find out, what does he want? Does he want this, this paper, and he wants this job, or do you want, just to enjoy the rookie contract and then live off that for a little bit? Because that's all you're getting right now if you're going to just keep, tossing it away on stupid stuff. So hopefully he does have his head straight, and I hope Jake
but like, what did he really toss it away on?
PEDs, right? So,
okay, here's my thing with PEDs. Let me just quick say something about that. When we hear PEDs, or when we talk about PEDs, right, we go back to like the program.
Barry Bonds.
Pump,
you're right.
Steroids, pump you up.
There's so
why do they?
We both did it at the same time. Is that what you're laughing at?
With the talk, like it's like, what if he has a high squeaky voice?
Maybe he does. That, yeah.
Remember, a lot of things do go the opposite way when you do that.
I know. But like, I'm just saying that like, there's so many supplements out there. There's so many things that you can take. I mean, I can go online right now and find 500 different things to try to make myself not fat. What, you got a bunch of supplements back there or what?
No, it's my laundry. Like, I can't have blankets down there. Sorry, you know what? I will fold them to show you that they are actually like, geez, man. Like I can't. You know what?
It's been 7 days. It's been 7 days. It's been 7 days.
I'm sorry, man. It's the hangout.
All right,
Yeah,
come on, son. But back to it, like, I don't get as worked up about the PED thing because of that, right? There's so many things out there now. There's so many supplements. There's so many opportunities. And if it's just one that has like the smallest ounce of something that's on the list, I guarantee you he wasn't getting shots in the butt.
Yeah, but then why are there not more people then? Like if it's such an anomaly that like this guy only got caught, like then why is it only like 7 guys in the last like 7 years have gotten?
Well, because he's got a shitty trainer.
An idiot. Okay.
Well, because some trainers go, man, I got this new protein shit. You got to try this out. And next thing you know,
right. So then, that's what they teach you at rookie camp. Or
don't
like
do that.
They have like they have this money management class. They have I'm sure they talk about this too. Like, hey, don't take substances other than from your trainers, from your team. Blah 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 blah. I get it. Off season, you have these other trainers because they're available to you. But like, I just feel like it's such a. I get that it's not a big deal. But I also do think it's like, what are you doing though?
Yeah, I'm not. By no means am I condoning it, and by no means am I saying it's fine. I'm just saying I feel like when I hear it now, I take a little bit more with a grain of salt as like back in the day where it was like they were shooting up like Tony Manders style. But
yeah, they were.
that being said, I mean, yeah, you're still an adult. You're still a professional athlete now. It's time to be a little bit more responsible and smart. He was coming off of a rookie second year. So like, he's not a big name. He's probably goes to like back to his home gym and probably just takes some stuff. He probably had a buddy there that was like, didn't realize that, this was on the list, or maybe he didn't catch it. I'm sure the list is crazy. I'm sure the list is long. I'm sure the list is like, you can't take this one. That's the Echo Shaba Flapa Sika Takapinging, like, they're like, oh, I didn't know that one was in there. Sorry. I guess I read over that one. Like,
can we say that one more time?
No,
I don't think he can even repeat it.
No,
that's our new show title right there.
I really had to burn up for that.
Waka Waka Sticka Stackestein.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he does figure out. Hey, I'm glad someone brought this up. Can we give some mad respect to Caleb Jones potentially taking a huge step? I mean, he's in the Josh Nijman program where he's just going to be a practice squad guy for the next like 3 years. But like he could be the future left tackle. I mean, depending on what happens with Bach, obviously if they keep Elton at left guard, like you got to have some sort of question, because if Josh isn't it and he gets traded or he just bounces because he wants to go play, then you got to have someone. And this guy's a mountain. And, hopefully, he takes big strides. That's definitely someone I'm going to see, as the preseason goes along. But
I totally agree with that. I was just thinking about him earlier today. But I mean, like, yeah, being the mountain of the well, I just sit around and think about Packer players. Usually practice squad
Caleb
guys.
Jones.
Caleb Jones. But all I kept thinking was like, dude, he's got an offensive line name, right? Like Caleb Jones. I could just see that being left tackle. But being the mountain, and then I see being what I envision this offense is going to be, right? Which is a little bit more run heavy, a little bit more closer to the sticks, if you will. That's more convenient, right? Than a pass blocking guru like Bakhtiari, right? We're not going to have a guy that I think drops back and throws it 45 times like Rodgers was doing at one point in his career. I could see this more of like Love is a 20 to 28. Yeah. We're running the ball a lot more. We need somebody in there who can move the line. Right.
Yeah, I kind of see like what Jalen Hurts kind of does. Maybe less running than Jalen Hurts, but
you look at like that, even that situation. I mean, their left tackle, is a behemoth of a man. He's not.
Yeah, he's an ape escape. Like he. Yeah,
he's not a pass. He's not a quick off his feet. And I think Bakhtiari is one of the best in the game, if not best ever, that I've seen come out of the snap and really set himself for pass blocking. I don't know if that's going to be as necessary, and we're going to need a little bit more bulldoze running type blocking, and I don't know if Bakhtiari is there for that.
All right, that's good. That's good stuff for the offensive line. Give him a little bit of love for the week.
Oh,
look at him finally here. Finally,
Iowa Joe just jumps on and I say that. And
we needed Rasheed Walker here, and you weren't here to assist us. Good thing he wasn't an Iowa player because that would have been even worse on you because you are a resident Iowa Hawkeye. So, let's move on to Jayden Reed because this is definitely the guy that is a lot of possibilities, let's say a lot of opportunities because of who he is. We didn't really have it with Amari Rodgers. I don't know really what went wrong with there. Is that a Rodgers problem? Aaron Rodgers problem because he didn't like the guy because he didn't, not like him, but he didn't like his practicing or his ability on the practice field, or was he just that, good or not that good? So it didn't really work out with him. And now you see, Samori Toure, a couple years ago now kind of see what he has in the slot, and he's kind of shown some sparks too, but you see this now with Jayden Reed, who has this flying ability, and you've already seen from the practice that I was at actually, where he takes this end around and he just flies. And granted, it's in shorts. They have a lot more gaping holes, but it is still nice to see something of trickery, I guess you could say, because I still cannot believe it because I was just at this game, and I think, Matt, you were too, or maybe you weren't, but it was the Jets game, and watching that team do all those end arounds, and even the Lions too. Let's be honest with the Lions. Seeing Amon-Ra St. Brown do it and just run up the middle on you and gape, get 15 yards on it is starting to piss me off that the whole entire league can do it, but we can't. So I'm hoping they can implement something of that nature. I'm not saying it has to be a lot, but we saw it. You saw that teaser with Swerve and Irvin. You kind of saw it, with Christian Watson a little bit, but he could only really get to the outside. And then he get pushed over by a feather and he fell over. But maybe this guy can do a lot more, with this ball comparably than, Christian Watson. I'd rather not see Christian Watson do it. I get that he has, undoubted speed, but I'd rather just see him kind of just, you know what, go route, post route, just do something minimal for me. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Jayden Reed moving forward?
I think he's I'm super excited to see him. I mean, everything that I've seen in the camp. Okay, I'll start back a little bit, dial back a little bit. When we drafted him, right? I was like, I don't know, not super excited about it. Then dove into it. We had a lot of people kind of come out and say, oh, he's really good. Talent was out of control. Didn't have the opportunity to do much because they had a Michigan State quarterback, blah, 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 blah. So I started to be like, okay, well, maybe temper that down a little bit. Let's see what he's got. Watching him in that end around, especially, I mean, obviously I know it's different. It's camp. It's all that kind of stuff. But just the electrifying speed that he had was something that I feel like we haven't seen in a long time. I guess my only concern with him is, and this was again on camera, I don't know how it is in real life or whatever. He just looked kind of small, and I'm not sure how that is going to form into breaking tackles.
Is he
and being able to
5'10"? Is he 5?
I think he's almost
9?
6.
Yeah, and I'm not saying
Okay.
not height wise. I was meaning like he just looks like skinny, small, if you will.
Well,
Which I know he's not, but you know what I mean. Just comparable to everything else. Not like Deuce Vaughn trying to run between the tackles.
oh my god,
He looks like a 5-year-old.
Yeah,
that's.
I actually thought it was. I thought it was a Make-A-Wish kid or a coach's kid that was out there for fun. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. Which, you know what? Here's like, I love Deuce Vaughn. I was watching him a ton. I loved watching him in Kansas State. He was super fun. But you're right. Like all the people being like, "Gosh, I thought that was a kid running out there." Like,
I thought it was.
That
Oh,
was
that's cute.
And
We're not
everybody
the
was
player.
like, "Oh man, did you see him? Did you see him fly through the tackles?" It's like, dude, he would have gotten murdered.
Yeah, he would have
guys
gotten
that
clipped.
did not tackle him. Like, so that's my only fear with Jayden Reed is I guess I just got to see like where his toughness level's at. Right. I don't know if he scares me as one of those guys that does he get hit and he's never really able to get through it. But that being said, I think again, and I feel pretty confident in this, that he is going to be a weapon for us this year. Similar to a little bit of like a Debo Samuel-esque type.
Oh my God.
Situation,
Are you serious?
Taking his content.
Dude, literally before I was like, I'm gonna let Fred do the first thing on Jayden Reed, and then I was gonna come back around and say, you know what he reminds me of?
He took my offensive line.
I did. So now we're even. I honest to God, that's what I feel like they're going to try to use him. And now that finally Rodgers is gone, I think the actual offense is going to come out and they're going to use him end arounds. Maybe they give him a legit handoff every now and then, but use him at the line of scrimmage, quick slants. Exactly. Like just figure out creative ways to get him the ball in space. And then you let guys like Christian Watson, Dobbs, and Toure run more of your traditional route trees, and you use him within 5 or 10 yards of the line of scrimmage.
I think that's the wrong comp. Debo's huge. Like this,
well, he's thicker.
Okay, but that's not that like.
Right.
But
absolutely.
his role, but it's role.
Right.
I don't think he'll run the ball like Debo does because he's built way different. But I just mean in terms of like just moving him all over the field.
How he's being utilized.
Exactly.
Yeah, like to the point where at the end of the season we're not sure if he's a running back, a receiver.
So maybe if like Brandon Cooks could be morphed into Debo Samuel, that's probably that was my comp in a way. Brandon Cooks.
And that's kind of what I was kind of hinting at with him being small, because I was comping him to Debo and thinking like, well, Debo's a lot bigger. He's a lot. Yeah, I think he can withstand taking those hits a lot more than Jayden Reed. But where I'm most excited with him, obviously, in there's a lot of reasons, but one that I'm really excited about is, and not just him, but this offense in general, is in that red zone. In that area where like we've had those issues now. I mean, remember, let's think about the last 3 years, right? I could probably name the 3 best plays that I saw this offense run, and every one of them were where it was motion. A tight end would go into the flat, another guy would come underneath and around, and I was like, why are we not always running that? Why are we not? So imagine now you have a guy like Aaron Jones who can run in the flat. You have Jayden Reed who motions and then comes back behind. You have Tucker Kraft go to the left. You have Musgrave go to the right. I mean, I just think there's more opportunity there. And that's what I'm probably most excited about. Sorry, I saw that.
And Josiah DeGuara season.
Yeah. I don't think he's prime Cobb though, because I don't think Cobb was ever fast.
I never thought Cobb was a burner, and I always thought he was good in the slot, but wasn't like necessarily a true like just a really fast, twitchy, typical slot guy.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I
like
mean?
we
You know
got
what
this
I'm trying to
reverse
say?
kick return, and I never saw that Cobb again.
Never. Yeah. No, I think
saw the one time he took one back.
He always reminded me of like mid 90s slot receiver, not like mid 2000s slot receivers.
Yeah.
Slot receivers were like speed demon dudes that were flying
Less
around.
Percy Harvin, more like somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of somebody like
Percy
in
Harvin might
that
be a
time
good
era.
one.
Yeah.
But Percy
Okay.
was a little bit of a ball too, though. I mean, he was a pretty muscular looking dude. But
he was a muscle
and
hamster.
again,
he was fun to watch, man.
It's not saying that Jaden Reed's not there. I mean, I've seen pictures of him. I mean, he looks obviously he's obviously in shape. He looks pretty big. I just feel like in that one video, I was like, oh my gosh, if somebody were just to, smoke him and
just clock him, right? Yeah. I mean, if you
really
had Troy Polamalu in this game,
yeah,
like he probably would die.
But then again, he's probably used to it. I mean, he's probably tough.
He played football, man. Yeah, like they hit hard in the Big Ten.
Well,
like,
I've seen a lot of football players be kind of.
Christian Watson might be one of those. Okay, so
watch it.
I'm just saying, man, the guy goes
him.
down
You need him to be good.
Okay, let's while we have a few good minutes here, let's pick a guy because I already know what my guy is because I picked him when we drafted him. The guy that we're gonna kind of watch for this training camp and preseason. I'll just go first because my guy we already have a clip of, so I'll at least give you some time to really quick think of yours. Unless I already know probably Fred's, but Matt is definitely a question mark. Even though I want to lean to the receiver side because let's just be honest.
No, not a receiver. I know what I'm saying. I've got two. A backup.
Well, Fred, why don't you just throw it up right away, and then I'll just speak on half of it or on behalf of it, unless we don't have it. Do we have? If we don't, that's not.
I think this is what you're talking about. Are you talking about a defender?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
It might have audio to it, so you might not be able to talk while it happens. But
that's what I'm not going to talk. I'll just. Now, okay, this is against Danny Etling, so I'm not like really calling this like, hey, put this guy in the starting three or anything. But Carrington Valentine is one guy that I definitely thought could make some noise in this camp, especially in preseason. I think where you're going to see a lot more reps from him because of, obviously Eric Stokes being out, and you're probably not going to give Ja too much of time out there. And same thing with maybe Razul. There's a lot more opportunity to see these guys behind them. Ennis Gaines, Carrington Valentine, Samar Jean Charles, whoever these guys are, at the cornerback position that we could probably, see some more time in. He's the guy that I think is going to be in that, 4 spot, in my opinion. I think he might jump in right away and kind of just take it by, the whatever you want to call it, the hair tails, or whatever you call that phrase. But because I think he's just, I know. Fred just wants that one.
What in the world were you going there?
I know. I don't even know. But
you could have just said he could jump in like he just jumped that path.
I could just jump the path, right?
Like, let me play it again, and I just want everyone to watch how he reads the posture of the quarterback and makes the jump before the quarterback is even already ready to rock. So this is, I mean, you can get burned on this. You can get burned. I'm sure coaches are going to say, hey, careful. But the way he really just reads this is remarkable.
Coattails.
Jordan Love.
Coattails. Why can't I say coattails?
Yeah.
That's what the phrase is. Anyway, I mean, it's a corner. I think that's what the thing about cornerback is. It's either you have or you don't. Those instincts, those ball instincts, that ball hawking ability. You're watching a quarterback's hips. Like, is he going to really just stare down this one receiver? Because that's a really big mistake by a lot of young quarterbacks is, hey, I'm going to look this down. I know what my read is. I'm going to go to this guy no matter what. A cornerback, if he's a good one and he can, read the defense or he can read the quarterback's eyes, he's going to jump that. A good one will. So maybe this guy's got it already. And, obviously it's still pretty early in camp. It was just whatever. It was, a bad throw too. This kid could be it. So I hope this is going to be something that we can see more of. And I do think he'll make some noise.
Well, the NFC North, I think, has quarterbacks that do that. They stare at their one guy. They're not very good at progressions. They're not very good at making necessarily the greatest choices. I mean, I would probably give, maybe Kirk and maybe Goff a little bit of leeway on that, but I would say they're still bottom of the league when it comes to just making a throw. I mean, we've seen Kirk make a lot of just Hail Mary type throws, if you will, to Justin Jefferson because of Justin Jefferson's greatness, right? I mean, we've seen it. I mean, you look back at a few of those games last year. I mean, that one that he threw up to Jefferson against the Bills in that epic game, that should have never been caught. That should have easily been an interception, but Justin Jefferson saved him. Fields is going to make those decisions, and I think Goff is pretty prone to just kind of chucking a ball to where he thinks it's going to go. And I think our corners. What is it? Strap City? What did he say it was? What did Jock call? Strap City. I think those guys, I honestly believe, I mean, I loved Eric Stokes coming out. I thought he had a great first year. Obviously that's been, was tampered last year, but if he can come back and be kind of what he was with Ja, with Carrington, with Russell Douglas, I think it makes up a little bit for the lack of safety because those are some studs out there. And I think that, in a passing world, we're going to be good. I'll let you take your guy, Matt, and then I'll go last.
Sure. Well, the guy I'm watching, most this preseason and in training camp is going to be AJ Dillon. I mean, I think that he had what I would consider pretty disappointing third year last year, after coming out and having a decent rookie campaign, but following up with a nice sophomore season. I thought that I do think they need to rely on him more, and the run game is going to be really important this year with Jordan Love coming in. He's going to need, not just Aaron Jones running well. He needs AJ Dillon, and frankly, he was drafted in the second round for a reason. And I think that the time is now. It's a contract season, and this offense, if it's going to go anywhere, it's going to be because he's pulling his weight. And I just think so many times last year, watching him getting tripped up by the ankles and the shoestrings, and you're supposed to be the Quadzilla blowing dudes over and knocking them down and breaking through these tackles. So, and I know that he's heard the noise. I think he addressed some fan in the offseason and acknowledged that he had a lousy third year and he's working his ass off. So I'm really hoping that he figures that out and has himself a nice year because the Packers are going to need him. And if he's playing well, I don't think it's a stretch to say that their offense is doing really well then.
It's a good call.
My runner-up would be Savage.
Savage is an interesting
for obvious reasons.
I thought he did. I thought he played a little bit better towards the end of the year. I think there was something there. So I hope that maybe he just takes a nice big step. That would be freaking awesome.
Me too. And he's the guy in the safety room too, which is either
if he could be, if him and Rasul, right, could take that safety role, and then Stokes comes back, and you have Stokes and Ja and maybe Valentine or something step. I mean, I just think that'd be super dope. I'm gonna go with two guys only because I think they come in a package here, and that's Musgrave and Tucker Kraft. I'm super excited to see them. I know that's what I was gonna say, Sanjay. But I love tight ends, man. I think tight ends can be so crucial, and I think this year we haven't seen one in a while. We haven't seen one in a long time. I mean, I was, prime living life. I mean, I was a dirtbag at this time, but a prime living life when Jay Finns was there. And I always it's like I watched my dad, go to the store for a pack of smokes and some milk and never come home. Right. It's like Jay Finns gave me all these goods and then he just dipped out on us. And I was like, bro, what are you doing?
Come on.
So I've just been like this sad boy, like one tear in it, waiting for a tight end for years now.
Yeah. You've jumped on some.
Fred, and I've gotten really excited about him. So what?
I think this is the year that your boy Josiah jumps out. Honest to God, I feel like he's going to have.
Stop,
dude. Love
you shut
Kraft and Musgrave.
Well, it will be
those two.
Matthew,
but I think DeGuara is going to finally realize the use checks roll, and they're going to do it. It's happening.
He's
No, I'm muting you, you stupid turd. Who's the production man now? No, here's the thing, and I'm not going to get too far into DeGuara because I've said it for a while now, and I firmly believe this will be his better year. That's fine. I'll take that. I do think he's going to be a better year for him because I think he's going to get to run the system, and the system is proven through what we've seen in other situations, Miami, San Fran, that tight ends like him are better. Now, let me just finish what I was trying to say before. I'm super excited for them because I think they're both viable options to be tight end one, right? I think they're both really good. I want to see who kind of emerges through training camp, who kind of, cream rises to the top kind of situation. I think obviously Musgrave is the more athletic, the more playmaking type tight end. And I knew that when he came out, I think that was kind of his thing. So he is probably who I'm really eyeing in on. But Tucker Kraft, there's something about him. It's something that just feels like he will be a good, solid playmaker. And I'm not talking like 70-yard touchdowns, but I'm talking like red zone touchdowns. I'm talking those 3rd and 4s and 3rd and 5s. He runs little button hooks, turns around, hands are big and strong, grabs that ball, catches that first down. So I'm just really excited to see kind of where they're at. I will be focusing on them heavy on Thursday because I really want to see them run. I want to see them work. I want to see, more than a slow motion video that someone posts there. It's like, okay, like, yeah, you probably should have caught that
out route.
Yeah, he caught it. Like, there's nobody on him. It's like, okay, well, he should have caught it. Like,
yeah, right.
So that's right. That's where I'm kind of at. But I do think ultimately, I think as an entire, like, kind of H-back, running back, tight end package, I think if we can get one of them to definitely be better, and I would assume that AJ Dillon is not as bad as he was last year. And I'm going to hope that Aaron Jones can be healthy. I think that running back mixed in with DeGuara, mixed in with both those tight ends is a huge threat. And you can shake your head all you want, you angry old man. But I seriously think that is going to be more of our potent offense, if you will, than what the receivers are. I think we're going to see.
I agree completely with that. I think
they're going to be super good. And I think Jordan is going to kind of have to rely on that, have to really look at that to kind of at least start the season for sure, right? To get that confidence going before he has to obviously, take it to the next level and he's got to open up a couple times. But why not use those guys, use those tight ends, use DeGuara, use Jones and Dillon, and really kind of, get into those great 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 situations where he can continue to use them or use his legs or, catch a guy sleeping on Christian Watson and let it run. So, and you can throw Jaden Reed in there as well, because like we said, I think Debo-ish, right? So you got Reed, you got DeGuara, you got Musgrave, you got Dillon, you got Jones. They're all moving around. Have fun.
Yeah, hopefully they have the right person at the helm to do it.
The return of the illusion of complexity, perhaps?
Maybe. Maybe. Hey, huge shout out, or at least honorable mention of Brenton Cox Jr., because this guy, he might be our 3rd string, but he might beat out Lucas Van Ness. I'm just saying right now.
Beat out?
I don't know.
Wow.
I
that is a statement, sir.
Was a 1st round talent, but just a bonehead. So you tell me.
If you're right, I think it's great.
I obviously this is probably not realistic, but I'm just saying, hopefully he's in the rotation. I would hope that, we just cut Jonathan Garvin, thank God. So I would like to think maybe him and Enagbare can really battle it out for that 4th.
I agree with I have heard nothing but good about the guy in the sense that he is an absolute baller. So I agree.
Good.
I think if he can do it, I think it's there. It's just going to be a matter of can we get it figured out? But I agree.
We need a pass rush. So yeah, if he can,
I think he could be somebody that you don't pay attention to, and all of a sudden, mid-year we're talking about this dude more than we're talking about Van Ness, and it could be somebody that runs or kind of fills that spot for Gary going in, and then maybe that
if you have a rotation of Van Ness and obviously him and Enagbare, and then obviously you have Preston on the other side, that's a good rotation. Like that's 4 guys right there until Gary can come back, and then you probably have to put one of those guys on the practice squad. But I think it's just it also relieves the pressure off Lucas. Like, right, there's a lot of hype on him. He's throwing Josiah 5 yards, and that was the one thing I saw that was great about any Josiah news. But I think
such a hater, dude.
Such a hater. But it is that kind of nice thing, especially with Gary. When he came in, he didn't have that pressure, obviously, with Preston and Z there. And maybe this is that same thing. If you can have another guy that's just like that, that's pushing you. And Enagbare had a really good camp last year. He kind of came on strong towards the end of the season, getting some more snaps. That's a really good, triple right there that they can all kind of 3 just fight each other for snaps. Like that's a good thing to have. So
can I say, okay, let me just say one thing, and that's probably piss Iowa Joe off, but I gotta be totally honest with you. I was going into this training camp so hyped on everybody and almost forgot that like we had Lucas Van Ness.
Yes,
I know that sounds
like
terrible.
Jaden Reed, Musgrave,
Jaden
all
Reed,
those
the
guys.
Musgrave,
You're like,
the tight ends, like
you
yeah,
gotta
I was
forget
all of a
about this
sudden, they, like,
Herculean guy.
yeah, all of a sudden I saw a picture and they're like, oh, Van Ness and without shoulder pads or with shoulder, and I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I was already forgetting because he's from Iowa, but
First
like,
round
you
pick.
know, I was just
and it wasn't, and it's not that he's not good. It's not that I don't care. I'm
no,
not saying
he's
like
from
that.
Iowa, so
It's just one of those things where it was like, I don't know. I guess I've just had so much attention on the other guys, and I've kind of been zoned in on them that I kind of forgot about it. Okay, just relax. It's not a personal shot, Iowa Joe. Jeez Louise.
he's probably talking
I'm
about me
just
because
saying.
I'm saying Iowa this constantly.
Wow, that's okay.
But
Anyway,
yeah,
I just thought I'd mention
the
that. I just thought
bar,
that was
yeah.
weird.
It's a good problem to have when you have all these first round
Absolutely.
picks too, you know, and second round picks. Like, thank you, Aaron Rodgers.
But the thing
like,
is I'm not looking at him like he needs to come in and save our defense. Like he can just come in and play, and I think he'll be fantastic.
okay, we do not have any Badgers currently on the roster, but don't worry, because now that we have the Fickle era, there might be more first round or second round players.
Well, the Packers hate Badger players, so
you're right, they
that.
do.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yep.
that's gonna wrap it up for us for this week. As far as next week is concerned, we will obviously have Fred's input from Thursday, and I don't know, are you going to family night? Any of you going to family night?
Probably, yeah.
No, I'm not. Nope.
I'm not going. So we'll get a family night update
hate
and kind of news. Obviously, we didn't talk about that, but it is family night this weekend. So if you're going, check it out with your family or yourself, whatever you want to do. It is a great time. It is obviously a special time to bring your young ones and just get to see a nice spectacle. But go ahead.
Fireworks and laser show after it is the best fireworks and laser show I've ever seen in my entire 37 years.
It beats out 4th of July probably. So
by a mile.
Yeah, and it's in Lambeau, so what better than that? So enjoy
it. Was the first last year was the first year that I stayed for it. I've always dipped out right early because I'm like, okay, I'm good. And I stayed for it, and it was like I'm not kidding, you guys. Best in 37 years of my life, best fireworks and laser show I've ever seen them. So that's
you heard it right here, folks. So go enjoy it if you are local and you want to be able to do something on Saturday night. Check it out because I'm sure tickets are still available and they're pretty cheap. So enjoy the weekend, and then I think potentially we might get Hard Knocks. I think this Sunday. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they only have to wait.
It's next week. It's weird.
So they have to actually wait for a preseason game. I'm assuming. So they don't.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, screw it. So never mind. You're not going to get Hard Knocks, but you're going to still get another week of us on Monday, and we will talk more Packers when we get back. So until then, I'm Sanjay. That's Matt Jensen, and that's Fred.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Get the last name. Yeah.
I almost said that's Jensen, but
no. Good enough. Close enough.
We'll see you on the next one. Go Pack.
Go Pack. Go, baby.
Go.